It does. Open any book, it does look like it. So this is hypothalamus. It kind of looks like this. There is a stalk called infundibulum. Okay, so hypothalamus. Okay, and this stalk, also known as pituitary stalk, all those names. So it connects. So you have two parts of the pituitary gland. The anterior pituitary gland, APG, and the posterior pituitary gland, PPG. Okay, we're good so far? And there are some fundamental differences between the two. Anterior pituitary gland produces hormones. Posterior pituitary gland stores hormones. Do you see the difference between the two concepts? Storing, not making. Okay. So let's talk about anterior pituitary gland first. So what you have is a whole bunch of cells in the hypothalamus that make hypothalamic hormones. Are we clear? Question kind of to test whether you follow me or not, 0 out of 10. By definition, a hormone is released into what? By definition, hormone is a molecule that goes into the blood. That makes sense? So hypothalamic hormones go into the blood in what's called a primary plexus. It's a whole bunch of blood vessels. Okay? And then a vein, well, technically speaking, a system of veins, deliver that blood from primary plexus into a secondary plexus. Okay? So far, you with me? Now, let's talk about what happens in terms of hormones moving in and out. So check this out. Hormones that are produced by hypothalamus, here, they get into the blood in the primary plexus. They are transported via this vein to the secondary plexus, and they get out of the blood into the APG here. Does that make sense? These hormones stimulate various other hormones of the pituitary gland, which get into the blood and then get out, like in the systemic circulation. Okay? So the system of blood vessels is called hypothalamo, hypophyseal portal system. Okay? It's a mouthful, I know, but so here's the idea. Hypothalamus and anterior pituitary are connected to each other by a portal system, by blood vessels, by hypothalamo-hypophyseal portal system. Are we clear? Now what about posterior pituitary gland? Well, we mentioned that it doesn't make any hormones. So this is what happens. Check this out, and it's really cool. So here you have so-called neuroendocrine cells. Okay? And these are essentially modified neurons. Are you following me? And these, well, quote-unquote, modified neurons, they produce hormones. Okay? And these hormones are stored in posterior pituitary. Does that make sense? You with me on this one? So, technically speaking, these hormones are produced by hypothalamus and are stored in the posterior pituitary. Are we clear? I'm going to embarrass you a little bit. How do we call? I told you that's basically a bunch of neurons, right? How do we call a bunch of neurons that connect one part of central nervous system with another part of central nervous system? I'm going to throw you a hint. In a spinal cord, there's a lot of those bunches, like corticospinal, rubrospinal, or spinothalamic. Those are tracts. Okay? Bunches of neurons that connect different parts of the central nervous system are tracts. So spinothalamic tract or corticospinal tract. This bunch of brown neuroendocrine cells is hypothalamo hypophyseal tract. Okay? Good? So, kind of wrapping up and conceptualizing this, two things. What's the difference? So, first of all, both anterior and posterior pituitary glands are connected to hypothalamus. Okay, but anterior pituitary is connected via hypothalamo-hypophyseal portal system, so blood vessels, and it produces its own hormones. Posterior pituitary is connected to hypothalamus by the hypothalamo-hypophyseal tract, and it does not produce its own hormones, it stores them. Good? Clear? Questions so far? No? Okay.